This is Jay, and welcome to another News to Know podcast. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, like, bang that bell, all that good stuff. I appreciate it. If you already subscribed, you know the deal. I appreciate you as well, definitely. And make sure you all go to iTunes and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. It's very important. I really appreciate it, and I definitely need your support and your help to get these messages out there for more people to get the news that they should know. Now, here's an update on the extremely tragic and unfortunate for these victims school shooting in Texas at a middle school where this gunman killed multiple people, including a teacher. And I have some updates that is even more upsetting. When we were talking in Discord, by the way, if you haven't joined my channel membership, definitely do it. Be a part of the Discord family. Be a Tommy Egan level or higher so you can be a part of the Discord group where we talk damn near every night about different topics. It's a really cool group, like a family. Definitely do so. The link is in the description box below. But when we were talking last night, we said the amount of victims was as if he wiped out an entire classroom because it was so many. Well, the news today is that he actually did shoot everyone from one classroom. And I'm going to go ahead and break down this news. So they said that this shooter barricaded himself in a fourth grade classroom at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. This is a bunch of fourth graders that this 18-year-old killed. Fourth graders. I mean, that is just sickening to think that this man at 18 could kill a classroom full of fourth graders. I mean, my son is 18, and sometimes I hear these stories and see these things, and I just feel so blessed that my son is not going down this path of hate and destruction in the world. It said that it was 19 children and 2 teachers killed at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, in the deadliest mass shooting in the U.S. this year, which is also another tragedy because it's not even the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. It's only the deadliest this year, which I think people are starting to get desensitized and used to hearing about mass shootings, that it doesn't have the same effect. But when you're killing kids, especially, it's just disgusting. A fourth grader, I mean, that is insane. All the victims killed in the mass shooting at Texas Elementary School Tuesday were in the same classroom, a law enforcement official said, as details about both the victims and how the massacre unfolded continue to emerge. Lieutenant Christopher Olivares of the Texas Department of Public Safety said the 18-year-old shooter had barricaded himself in a fourth grade classroom when he started firing. He remained in the classroom until he was killed by a Border Patrol agent, Mr. Olivares said in an interview Wednesday on CNN. 19 children and 2 teachers were killed at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, in the deadliest mass shooting in the U.S. this year. All the victims have been identified, Mr. Olivares said. Police have identified the gunman as Salvador Ramos, a resident of Uvalde, where the school is located. Now, Uvalde is a city of around 16,000 people, and in case you was wondering, it's about 80 miles west of San Antonio, Texas. Now, Ramos shot his grandmother also, who he lived with, before going to the elementary school, according to police. Mr. Oliveira said the shooter's grandmother is still alive and that police are working to understand the motive behind the massacre. Everything is still active, Mr. Oliveira said. We're trying to put all the pieces together. At the current death toll, Tuesday's shooting in Texas was the deadliest at a U.S. school since the slaughter at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut in 2012, where 20 children and 6 staff members died. Now, that is just crazy how these people are targeting elementary school. And Sandy Hook was a major tragedy because I think some of those kids were even younger than 4th grade. In 2018, an attack at a high school in Parkland, Florida, left 17 students and staff dead. And that was also horrible how those high schoolers were, what they had to go through. It says, historically, elementary schools haven't been the sites of mass shootings with as much frequency as high schools or middle schools. Before Tuesday's shooting, the massacre at a Buffalo supermarket on May 14th, in which 10 people were killed, was this year's worst mass shooting in the U.S. President Biden addressed the shooting Tuesday night from the White House not long after arriving home from a 5-day trip to Asia. Biden said, "To lose a child is like having a piece of your soul ripped away." And in a 7-minute speech, he spoke to reporters from the Roosevelt Room in the White House. Now, he has said before, including in Buffalo earlier this month after the mass shooting there, that he was calling for gun control legislation. Biden said, as a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby, he said. I am sick and tired of it. We have to act, and don't tell me we can't have an impact on this carnage. On Monday, the Federal Bureau of Investigation released a report on active shooter incidents in the U.S. In 2021, it showed a 50% increase from 2020. According to the FBI, 103 people were killed and 140 people wounded in last year's 61 active shooting incidents. And that excludes the shooters. So all of those deaths exclude the shooters. 61 mass shootings last year. That is just insane. Now, I know a lot of people are saying they don't like Joe Biden for a lot of reasons. And most of the time when I talk to these people, they don't really understand politics, although you can't tell them that because they swear they do. But Joe Biden is not a king. He's a president. And it takes Congress and legislation to be passed in order for laws to change. He can't just do everything unilaterally. And Republicans do not want gun control. They do not want gun reform. If anything, they are rolling back the laws in place. In the state that I'm in Indiana, in order to carry a gun, you used to have a concealed carry permit to carry one legally. I believe earlier this year or last year, they rolled it back where you no longer need a license to carry a gun. Anybody can carry a gun. Anybody over 18 can start to buy weapons in this state, which is insane. And instead of putting in place more restrictions for people that may prevent some of these things, they actually are rolling it back. Now, full disclosure, I am a gun owner and I believe in gun rights, but I also believe that it shouldn't be easy as just going to a store, buying a gun, walking out and doing something to somebody. Gun is a very, very powerful weapon, and it's just as powerful as a vehicle. They make you go through all these things to have a license to drive a vehicle because you can kill somebody with that vehicle. The same is true with a gun, except a gun is actually made for killing, and you should have restrictions on that. But the gun lobby spends millions of dollars on people to legislate laws so that they can still operate in the U.S. A lot of people think these guns are coming from overseas. The majority of the guns in America were made in America. A lot of these companies, Smith & Wesson, Ruger, a lot of them are American-made companies. Yes, they do have guns from other countries that are sold here, but that doesn't mean that all guns in this country or the majority are from other countries. That's not the case. And I do believe that we could do some things about it. Joe Biden is right. Every time Democrats try to bring up some gun legislation, it never gets passed. Now, sometimes it may be very restrictive and it could use a couple tweaks, but no matter what they try to bring up, it never gets passed. And it's all for the simple fact that Republicans don't want Democrats to have anything done when they're in office, because then why would people vote for Republicans? They don't want even the Democrats to be able to get women, pregnant women or women with children, formula for their babies. They voted against that. Why? Because they don't want to be able to have Democrats say were able to help or do anything positive for Americans. And that's the way politics work. So when people say, well, the Republicans didn't vote for this, maybe it's because they believe this or that. No, it's not. It's because they don't want anything positive to be said for the other party. And it is true. You can say the same thing about Democrats and how they don't want to vote or support what Republicans do. But the majority of the time, Republicans are only trying to make laws and pass legislation that benefits the top 1% of the nation and businesses so that they can make more money, not pay their employees more money, and not pay their taxes, and pass all of those burdens on to the working class. Anyway, I do believe that something could be done at the very minimum for these places where we keep having these mass shootings, and I believe we should have more armed security guards or police at all of these schools and locations. I don't believe a metal detector could stop it, because if they have metal detectors, but they don't have an armed police officer or armed security guards there, he can just shoot the people that's at the metal detectors and walk through. So I believe that they should have armed security and armed police, either or, trained. I don't believe in having teachers carry guns, because you never know what they may end up having to do or not do, or freeze in a situation, whatever the case. But having trained guards, policemen, is a better option to me. And grocery stores and all of these places should have them. And they shouldn't just be standing at the door so that as soon as somebody walk in, they can just shoot them and continue with what they want to do. They should have them where they have time to react and are in a safe location where they can assess the situation and react appropriately. If you station them right at the door, then these people know all I got to do when I walk in is shoot this person while they're got their guard down, and now I can continue to do whatever it is I wanted to do to the victims. So those are a couple of options I think could help this country from having so many mass shootings. Another option that I do believe is that people should be registered gun owners and carry a gun for personal protection. For example, it may not work at a grade school because fourth graders or teachers wouldn't have guns, or teachers shouldn't carry guns to school, and these kids wouldn't have guns. But say in the situation with the grocery store, if that man walked in and wanted to shoot all of those people there, if those individuals all were carrying guns, or a nice percentage of them, say it's 200 people in the grocery store, if 20 or 30 people all had guns, then he could have got shot or had 20 or 30 people shooting back at him, which would have then definitely stopped him from shooting as many people as he did, because when you got 20 or 30 people shooting back at you, that's definitely going to freeze you in your tracks, and at the very least, kill them. And it's unfortunate that that man was able to kill all those people, including a police officer, and not be arrested. Not be killed and arrested unharmed. But every time it's a person of color, black or Hispanic, they're always killed and perceived as a threat. But even when a white person has proven that they're dangerous and a killer, they're not perceived as a threat and they're arrested. But when you have a person of color or Hispanic, they're automatically taken out. And it's unfortunate that, not to say everybody should be killed or everybody should be arrested, but I think that it should be a uniform way to deal with this. And I would have liked for him to have been arrested, just so we can get some answers into why he did this. Why did he choose to murder innocent fourth graders? He was 18 years old. These kids, what did they do to him to deserve this? The answer is obviously nothing. So I don't understand why he did this. I hope we are able to find some answers to why he chose to commit such a heinous act. And maybe we'll understand why police are able to do their job and apprehend violent offenders without incident when they're one color. But when they're another color, they seem to throw all those rules out the window. We've seen black men get killed for a fake $20 bill, selling cigarettes, nothing, a toy gun at Walmart that was for sale, and their wallet, cell phone, and nothing, time and time again. And yet this type of thing goes on. But this man was killed, but he was Hispanic, and so that probably had a lot to do with it. Anyway, I can't wait to see you guys' comments. I know I kind of went off a little bit on this, but I always like to tell you all a little bit of what I think at the end. And definitely, I believe that you should get a license, concealed carry license. I've had one for 20 years almost, and everywhere I go, even to this day, I always carry protection. And some people say to me, well, why are you bringing that? We going to church. Or why are you bringing that? We only going to the grocery store, or we only going to this restaurant. And I tell them, you never know what could happen. You never know when something can happen. And me leaving it in the car might as well not even have it, because how could I get to the car? And it would break my heart if something was to happen to someone, or especially someone that's with me or that I love, while I'm here in that situation and I left something in the car. I may not be able to still do something if I had it with me, maybe not take them out, but I feel better knowing I got a fighting chance at least to have something rather than have nothing. And then if something happens to my people that are with me or other people and I wasn't able to do anything about it, that would break my heart. And that's the key right there. Always be prepared. You never know what situation may come up. When I leave the house, I don't leave broke. I got my ID and I got protection. and I make sure my phone is charged, so always be prepared. You never know what may happen when you step out that door, and just, man, be prepared out here, because when you step out your door, the world is a crazy place. Anyway, I can't wait to see y'all comments. Y'all let me know what you think. I appreciate y'all for taking the time out to support my channel, listen to my videos, watch my videos, listen to my podcast, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. And I'll see y'all on the next video or podcast. I appreciate it if y'all subscribe on Spotify or iTunes. And I'll see y'all later, man. Be safe out there. Go get you a gun license. Go get you something to protect yourself. And I ain't talking about no pepper spray. Get something to protect yourself. Learn how to use it. And pray you never have to. I'm Jay. I'm out of here. Peace. Take care.